we're going to show a quick video.
I hate when my phone charger won't reach my bed.
I hate when my little seats aren't heated.
When I go to the bathroom and I forget my phone.
La mette radio la machine à laver, le commencer sentir.
I hate it when my house is so big. I need 2 wireless routers.
When my maker makes my hot water taste too cold.
When I have to write my name when I forget my last name.
Pas écrit message dans la machine en même temps.
Vous écoutez pas sonner en bas.
When I les voisins à bloquer Internet.
I hate it when I tell them no papers and they still give me papers.
Back to prison. So now after this video, we're going to ask you to write down things on your paper, on your car, on your phone, and I'm just going to go to the next slide.
You can take like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
You
30
really
seconds.
don't need to,
Yeah, you don't even have to.
you don't expect you to know it. Just
Yeah, we're gonna read them out, but sure.
What percentage of people in the world live with less than $10 a day? What percentage of people in the world live with less than $2.5 a day? And what percentage of people in the world live with less than $1.5 a day?
We just take a guess.
Yeah.
Just guess, you don't expect you to know it, and
Yeah.
it should take you 10 seconds each.
Everyone good?
You're all good? Cool.
Seconds. Some people start writing. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Next slide, please.
So, okay, we're now going to play a game, little activity. I'm sure most of you, or at least some of you, will have seen a game of this sort before, a poverty-related game. When we were looking up poverty-related games to play with you guys, we saw that most of them try to depict or represent the stereotypical reality that we tend to associate with poverty. So what we usually link with maybe kids living in sub-Saharan Africa or the poorest regions of Asia. However, we wanted our game to represent the lives or the reality of the people living in the communities that we are helping, meaning the favelas, or as we call them, the villas in Buenos Aires. So the following game, you're all going to be middle-aged men and women living in the favelas in Buenos Aires. And
Next slide,
you
please.
can, oh yeah, I guess you
Thank
can.
you.
Okay. You're all going to be middle-aged men and women living in the favelas in Buenos Aires, and I'm going to explain to you what your life is like, basically, and then we're going to be presenting you different situations, life situations that someone living in that reality might be exposed to in a month, and you're going to have to make decisions, usually that'll be whether to spend money or not spend money, and sometimes how much money to spend, and you guys are going to have to be your own banks and keep track on that piece of paper or on your phones of your bank account, adding money, subtracting money according to the decisions you make, and we'll see how many of you actually make it till the end of the month and survive. So here are just a few basics. Everybody starts off with 1,000 pesos. For those of you that are not familiar with Argentine currency, that'll be around, I think the rate changes every day, but around $100, more or less. So that's what you guys got in your bank account right now. You're a single parent with an 8-year-old kid. You have a job at a warehouse. You must be able to lift 20 pounds and have reliable transportation, meaning you have to consider that you need to be able to afford that transportation to get to your job, and you need to stay healthy, because your job does involve physical labor. You get $9 per hour, and you work from 12 to 7 p.m. every single day. Your weekly pay is of 306 pesos. Your health insurance cost is 268 pesos, meaning from the 1,000 you started off with, you now only have 732 already. And then your rent is 600 pesos, so now you all have 132 pesos. You might want to write that 132 down. That's what you're all starting with in your bank accounts right now. Remember, you get 3 strikes on your job, meaning 3 days you can be absent. After that, you get fired. Okay, so we're going to start the game. Alice, do you want to?
Yeah.
Oh, good luck, by the way.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, most of you are probably going to die, but just try.
We'll see. Or
Just leave it at making incredibly difficult decisions almost every single day of your lives. And often you had to relinquish essential things like healthcare, food, taking care of your kid, And we saw, Ali mentioned it throughout, that your relationships were slowly deteriorating. You were constantly asking, you're depending on your friends, constantly asking other people for help because you physically couldn't help yourself. And obviously, you also disregarded your child's needs because you really had no other option. And this obviously links into the very famous, unbreakable cycle of poverty, where if you're born in a poor situation, it's very difficult to walk away from it because so many opportunities are taken away from you. They're just not available to you because your parent has no way of providing for you, no matter how hard you could possibly try.
Especially because they're not able to take part in many activities like the museum trip, or we had another question that involved playing soccer, joining a soccer team, things like that they aren't able to do. So it kind of spirals into the cycle of poverty. And also for having to ask your friends for things, a lot of times it creates, or having to ask other people for things, a lot of times it creates the stereotype of people being in poverty because they're too lazy to do their own work, because they're too lazy to do it themselves, they're too lazy to pay. But the thing is, they can't because they're not, as you guys noticed, they don't have the money. They can't get, and since they don't have the money, they can't get out of their situation, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Right.
Next slide, please. So here's just some thoughts about this activity. So kind of what reactions did you have to this activity? Did it surprise you? Did you think did they have better lives than you thought? Did they have worse lives than you thought? Did you notice the spiral of poverty? Do you have any thoughts?
I realized that, or I knew before that it was not obviously an easy life, but I just didn't realize how constant it was. How every single day there's something new.
Nice. Anyone else?
Jonathan, even after all, there's a lot of problems. On top of that, there's still stress, and you have to look at your kid every day. It's no, sorry,
Yeah.
but I can't do this.
And also,
you have to keep constantly thinking of bills and stuff.
Right. And for those of you that did survive, this isn't over yet. As long as you survive, this keeps going on every single day of your life.
This was what, 17 days?
Yeah, we didn't even do the full month.
Right. Ms. Baldwin, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think also just all of the, like you were saying, all of the constant things coming at you, and I think the poor conditions that you live in don't help either, so things are breaking or things don't work, you have to pay for repairs. I mean, everything is just, there's never kind of a break. And I think what you were saying too about people thinking, oh, poor people, they're lazy, why don't they do this, why don't they work? But you think of all of these obstacles every single day, including caring for children, including,
it's
spreading
almost
money out.
like you live in constant fear that something might happen to you that you won't be able to afford, and then that'll almost be the end.
And in addition to that, there's issues with violence and gangs and education. It's just really unfortunate.
So, kind of basing off, did your perspective on your own privilege or other people's lack of privilege kind of change as a result of this activity? Yeah, yes. Quick answer. Just good. Did you ever feel as if you had the chance when you were playing the game? Did you ever feel like you had the chance to get out of your situation? Yeah.
Actually, when I chose to join the union, I thought something was going to happen.
Yeah, and oftentimes people think, people look at people living in this situation and say they can join a union, they can find a better life for themselves. It's illegal to fire somebody for being in a union, but often it's not the case. Often these people get fired, and things just spiral out of control from there, and it's really, really hard to get out of their situations, especially if they don't have access to education, and if they can't give their kid access to education.
And maybe some of you thought you were doing better when you finally got your monthly paycheck, but you noticed that right away money was taken away from you for just a random kid throwing a ball at your window.
So, do you think this activity helped to recognize some of the root causes of poverty? And so, just shout some out, or don't shout, but which ones? You can just
Not the word, but the stereotypes and maybe prejudice. They just think that people that are in lower condition are they're superior than them.
It's also a cycle that's very hard to break, which means perpetuates itself.
yeah. There's also things like lack of education, which you don't have access to. So you're making okay. poverty that you guys noticed were missing from this activity?
I think there's racial discrimination is a big source of socioeconomic situation too, and I think that's something that is really important.
Can you ask causes, like why people that have
Like, yeah, like what causes poverty?
Oh, well, like, okay, so where I used to live, we did a lot of, like, community service, and my mom talked to this woman who used to travel the world, had a really solid job, but then she got into drugs, and then became homeless and
Well, not
yeah.
nice, but I
Yeah, we had one question that we skipped about that. You become an alcoholic at some point during the game. We skipped that, but yeah, it shows how, and you just kept spending more money on alcohol. Because often addiction does keep you in poverty because you look at addiction or you look at alcohol or drugs as a form of escape. In Buenos Aires, there's this new drug that's a derivative of cocaine and the Vichas that kids buy because it helps them stop feeling hungry because they don't have enough to eat, but they do have enough for the drug, so they buy the drug, and you die within a month. Like if you start taking this drug, it's really, but they'd rather have that than go hungry. So things like that are also future to poverty. We just we weren't able to put everything in the activity because it's way short. Thanks. Next slide, please.
Going back to the questions you guys previously answered on your phone, sheet of paper, wherever you answered them, these are the results of the question, the answers, there we go. 80% of people in the world live with under $10 a day. 42% of people in the world live with under $2.50 a day. And 15% of people in the world live with under $1.25 each day.
Did you guys get 12 for close?
I got one.
Only the first one is incredibly large. It's very surprising to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get you guys perspective.
Next one, please. So these figures are obviously very big, very abstract. So now we're going to look at a few more specific examples that you might be able to relate to more closely. So, go ahead.
Do you have shoes?
Okay, so obviously all
Of course you do. You're all here. Your shoes on. Then you're better than 300 million children worldwide.
Fun fact, one kid in my school has 150 pairs of sneakers. He has one closet for sneakers and another half a closet for sneakers.
They're mostly basketball shoes.
Yeah, they're like those expensive Nike basketball shoes.
Next.
Do you have water? That's something 783 million people don't have. Do you have adequate access to sanitation? Then you're better off than 2.5 billion people in the world. Can you read this sentence? Nearly 1 billion people entered the 21st century unable to read a book or even sign their names.
That's 1/7 of the world.
Do you have a place that you call home? For the 1.9 billion children from the developing world, there are 640 million children who don't have access to adequate shelter. That's 1 in 3. Do you plan to be alive tomorrow? 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. That's 1 every 10 seconds.
So, based off of that, based off of our activity and the facts that we showed you, where do you guys stand in the fight against poverty? Next slide, please. This is where we stand. So this is, we're working with a small organization called Todos Juntos, and here's a quick video about that before I talk about it some more.
Hi, I'm Fiona Ambrosio in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm the founder of a small charity called Todos Juntos, and today I'm going to take you into the slums of Buenos Aires. The slums of Buenos Aires are also known as the regional areas. They're made up of makeshift homes, planks of wood and plastic and metal put together to make a home. No sanitation, no heating, no garbage disposal, no proper running water, no proper electricity. They often flood. Families living in slums are usually composed of 8 members, often single moms, 6 or 7 children.
You had a hard time with one issue.
Now and try and film. Estás feliz, ¿no? Me parece, con una sonrisa muy linda. ¿Y cuántos son en la familia? 6. ¿Y dónde está tu mamá? ¿Y a qué hora va a volver tu mamá? A la 1. ¿Y te va a preparar algo para comer? ¿Y tienes todo para ir a la escuela? Mochila, carpetas. ¿O te falta algo? ¿Qué? Y adentro no hay nada. ¿Me vas a llevar en tu casa? Oh, dale aún. At the back there's the toilet. 40% of Argentines live below poverty line. 20% below the extreme poverty line. Contame, quando llueve en tu casa, ¿hasta dónde llega el agua?
In just 3 years, Todos Juntos has set up 3 fully equipped dental clinics where children from the surrounding slums can come and receive free restorative care. These are all children that up till now have never had access to dental care. The NGO pays for all the equipment, supplies and dentist salaries. Last year we saved 4,000 teeth from extraction, and we are the only charity in Argentina doing this work.
Next slide, please. So I'm not sure if you guys heard, but Todos Juntos, it's this tiny charity in Buenos Aires. It's actually one of the moms of the kid who goes to our school is the NGO, is the head of this NGO. And it's a tiny organization, but it makes huge changes. I'm not sure if you heard, but it's the only organization in all of Buenos Aires that gives free dental care to children. And it also provides them with other things, like it has foundations, fundaciones, where children go and they can hang out for the day while their parents are working, where they're given food, they're given water, they're given access to adequate sanitation. They're also given school supplies, things like that. Last year, I was going to talk about this next slide, but last year we filled up backpacks for these kids. As you saw, the little girl had a backpack, she just had nothing in it. And we, this year we're working on a color run to continue raising funds for this project.
Okay, so last year we started trying to raise, to get these kids the backpacks that they needed, their notebooks, their food, clothes. So we got our school, our high school, to really donate, and we even had prices to get them to actually do it. And so each backpack had food, clothes, notebooks, pencils, food, again, and
shoes. Shoes were
really
very
important.
Okay, then this year we're obviously still working with them, and we're organizing a color run at our school. It's going to be a fundraiser for this NGO. All the profits will be donated to them. And throughout the color run, we're also going to be organizing a donation collection so people can bring in old school supplies or old clothes. Therefore, we will both raise money and collect donations. And the money will be raised by selling obviously tickets to participate in the color run, and we will give people along with the ticket obviously some colored powder to participate and a t-shirt, a color run t-shirt.
Just to make clear, we have a parent-teacher organization in the school that's called PAL, which is Parents at Lincoln, and they're actually helping us. We got a grant from them to help us do the color run this year. As we've said, we're raising money and donations for Todos Juntos, and we basically want to spread awareness for this cause. We actually are working to make gin, the color run, a yearly tradition at our school, because as you've heard, the 3 of them, they're seniors, so they're going to be leaving school. And I'm moving in December, so none of the group members are going to be in it anymore. But we still want to make it a sustainable project that keeps on going every year. We want to engage other schools and members of our community to help this project grow. And we actually want to watch the project grow, whether it be from colleges or different schools, or wherever we are. We'd like to see it expand. These are a couple things that you can do at your own school. Maybe you can start a donation in which you can get school supplies, clothing, non-perishable food items, money. If you guys want to do the same thing that Todos Juntos does, you guys can buy toothpaste, toothbrush, all this kind of stuff. You can also volunteer your time, you can raise awareness, and you can do a color run, which is also a lot of fun.
Or organize another fundraiser, and oftentimes people don't realize that even if they cannot organize a donation collection, they're still busy doing other stuff. Just volunteering a few hours on a weekend can often help so much.
Here, you can skip that one.
No, let's skip this one because we don't have time for this.
We'd like to leave you guys with the last name, which is follow us on Twitter, and here's our hashtag if you guys want to follow up with the project we're doing.
Yeah, when we actually have the color run, we'll be posting stuff, updates with that hashtag.
Before we actually close up the presentation, I just want to bring up something. How many of you did I hand a lollipop to when you walked in? Not if you're eating one or if you got one right now, but how many of you did I hand you one? How many of you ended up with one somehow? If you guys are sharing here in school, how come we're not doing that with less fortunate communities? How come that we have so much more and we don't share with them? Why isn't this a thing that happens in the world?
Yeah, you weren't very
But we also have people who have a lot, but we get into
you also didn't hesitate to share with your friends. Yeah, we all hesitate to share with people that need things that are a lot more essential than lollipops. And also, often easier to give out. It's old stuff that you don't need.
Yeah, there's so much waste that we could be giving away to people. Not waste, but so much food that is wasted that we could be giving away. Fruits and vegetables, for instance, are thrown out every day instead of being given to the homeless because they just don't want to go to the effort to hand them out, and because they're worried that somebody's going to sue if maybe the fruit wasn't great, and which is ridiculous because it would never happen. Things like that.
And that's why we were saying before, one of the best things you can do, and one of the things we're really hoping to do with our project is spread awareness. Because if people start realizing how big of an issue this is, and when they see the reality that these kids and families live in, it's a lot easier. You can sort of empathize, and it's a lot easier for them to start, willingly to donate things. So raising awareness is huge. If you can't do anything else, just do that. Spread the message.
Thank you.
So.